It's that guy's birthday. He didn't even shave for the occasion, but he's wearing a collar shirt. It's very important. Guys, let's get serious. My name's Stuart Brisgell. That's David Solomon. It's the Rant Network. This is a podcast dedicated on giving you raw, unfiltered issues spanning news, pop culture, politics, and beyond. Whether it's discreet or whether it's not discreet. Clearly, I'm the less discreet guy in this bunch. So sit back, relax as I get into absurdities and diving into social issues. Guys, buckle up. When we hear about the insanity from October 7th, and when we talk about how Israel isn't being careful about innocent civilians, let's first understand the framework here, because then we're going to get to the politics side. When an honest nation goes to battle, they have prisoners of war. When terrorist organizations go into it, they take hostages. Prisoners of war can't be infant children, but hostages can be anything that they want. Yet the optics and the moral clarity is weighted on Israel and not Hamas or the Palestinians that are in the middle of this, an elected government called Hamas. Another thing is that's driving me nuts. I got to throw it to Dave's wrench here. Is according to the Ministry of the PA in 2020, they received $1.32 billion. Where did the money go? But you hear politicians like Talib and Booker, who I really think we got to know where their money comes from. Because no normal, sane individual could ever say from the river to the sea. I just don't get it, David. So when you talk about Talib, an American government elected official, how in the world do we get here? If I would have said something racially punked, like with Black Lives Matter, we were totally blocked on Facebook. But yet I can say river to the sea, death to all Jews. No one seems to give a shit. So the twist here, guys, is David, media, politicians, where is this at?
Well, Stuart, thank you for the greetings and wow, I didn't think I needed to shave for my birthday, but thank you. But let's get to the serious stuff. In terms of there's a confusion here. The word truce has been thrown around as part of what's been going around in this exchange of prisoners for hostages. Let me say that again. Israel has to give prisoners, people who've stabbed, murdered, attacked, burnt, you name it. We have to give back 3 times as many prisoners to the Palestinians as Israel has to get back in hostages, women and children, who I've said 1,000 times, it's vile to believe that the world stays silent, that women and children, seniors, elderly, sick, newborns, there's still a 10-month-old that's still, now Hamas says, we don't have the 10-month-old. We don't even know where the 10-month-old is. So to show you the depths of depravity, let's just sweep that under the rug. It doesn't matter because Israel is the big Satan, not the little Satan anymore, apparently. And when the question comes to the floor of Congress to ask whether or not Israel is a legitimate state, all Rashida Tlaib cries is, well, what about the poor Palestinians? And when I saw that yesterday, my comment, I was just enraged. Because the world is trying to force Israel's hand again. And you hear it again and again. Biden apologizes for for questioning the number of casualties to the Muslim community. Pandering again to the Muslim and Arab community, pandering for votes, pandering, to throw Israel again under the bus. being accused by Ted Cruz as the worst administration to Israel ever. I think it's the second worst. I think Obama's was worse, but that's my opinion. But here we go again, using the word truce, forcing Israel into something that doesn't exist. You know, when you if Stuart talked about Black Lives Matter and what if this organization was to murder 1,200 people, you would discredit the living hell out of that organization. For God's sakes, Black Lives Matter has simply disappeared over money. Nobody talks about Black Lives Matter anymore because the money is, the money trail destroyed them.
Well, unless you're at Starbucks.
But then here you go, to Israel, and you say, "Oh, Israel doesn't have a right to defend herself, and Israel doesn't have a right to be legitimate." Why? Who are you to say that? You lefty punk in a university. How dare you? You stand up for the Black community. You stand up for LGBTQ rights. You stand up for women's rights. And then you say Israel doesn't have a right to exist. How dare you? Who are you to say that? All you do is pipe out the words that Rashida Tlaib and the rest of those lunatics deliver. They want the annihilation of a people. It's a genocide. There's a chart floating around social media that talks about how Israel's bad at genocide because the population of both Gaza and the West Bank has increased while the Jewish population in Arab countries is virtually zero, but we're committing genocide. I like that. But even if this were true, even if Israel was looking to negotiate a truce, who are we doing this with? A terrorist organization like Hamas, who continues to swear that they will repeat October 7th again and again, which, again, let's ignore it.
Wait a second, David. Wait a second. You're trying to tell me a legitimate political group that has hate speech is still a legitimate group?
No,
I'm so confused.
I think the word you used is wrong. They're not a legitimate political group. They're none of that.
Right.
They are a terrorist group. They were called a terrorist group, and the only people who don't want to call them terrorist groups are their buddies, the United Nations, other Arab countries, but the West has called them and defined them as a terrorist organization.
But hang on, just because they don't call them a terrorist group, why doesn't Egypt open its Rafah border?
We're going down the wrong path here. This is not irrelevant. It's irrelevant. What is relevant is the conversation between the people, these media, who continues to blame Israel. And again, you look at the media, it blames Israel. You look at the politicians who blame Israel. You look at the left who blames Israel, the universities who blame Israel for everything that's gone wrong in the world. Stuart, the polar ice caps are melting in the Arctic, we'll blame Israel. Greta Thunberg, the so-called green activist, wants to crush Zionism. The mentality here is we hate Israel so much that the one country that is promoting the daylights out of her cause should be eliminated. This is the twist.
The crazy, I think it's one better. Gay rights activists, LGBTQ activists, women's rights activists, pro-Arab women's rights activists all live healthy in Israel.
They want to see annihilation of Israel.
If any of these four groups were in any of these, let's say, interesting countries, what would happen to them, David?
We've said it. They would be annihilated. But the point is, the world is trying to twist Israel's two arms with using words like truce. Who
can you have a truce with a terrorist organ? What is a truce with a terrorist organization? That's like making a deal with a scorpion and the frog and getting across to the other side.
It's that old myth. It's absolutely. But here's the thing: the terrorists. You're right. The terrorists here are the scorpions. They can't help themselves but stab Israel again and again. And if Hamas, who's gaining in popularity, by releasing prisoners, by doing all these things. They've gained in popularity. They want to eliminate the Palestinian Authority. So if that's the case, then Israel has no choice to negotiate with a terrorist organization whose charter continues to say, we want to annihilate Israel. That makes so much sense. I want to understand, does the United States believe that after 9/11 they could have had a truce with Osama bin Laden? That's my question. Equate the two.
Wow.
Equate the two. You were attacked. 3,000 Americans were killed on September the 11th, and you're supposed to negotiate a truce with whom?
No, David, it's a conspiracy theory that they didn't really blow up the towers. It was actually blown up with explosives. These are people that are so ignorant that try and look for circles in the sky, thinking that they're going to be beamed up like Scotty in Star Trek. They're just lunatics. Listen, the defund the police, the George Floyd, the BLM. This is literally going bananas. And you know the difference between George Floyd, that was one person. Israel has 1,400 plus people massacred, murdered, burnt, raped in front of women and children, hostages. And you expect Israel to hold back its tongue.
Well,
I'm sorry.
no, but you see that. Did you hear? Did you not hear that Mr. Biden allegedly had said to Israel, if they resume, they must do it with greater precision. And I'm like laughing, going, which bloody army ever heard in their lives, in the history of the world? You know what? When you go and you kill the scorpions, okay? Make sure you do it in this little square over here, not outside this square. So if the scorpion runs around outside of it, it's untouchable. That's the nonsense. So if Hamas hides behind civilians, as they've always done, Israel can't shoot. Think about a police situation where you've got hostage situations. You have someone who's threatening to kill hostages in a police situation. You think this police is sitting there waiting for let's see now. Let's wait to have no casualties? Not happening. It's not happening. They have to take out if the crime becomes, if there's going to be death, they're going to go in and they're going to take out the criminal. I don't understand, actually I do, because it's just, again, it's not Israel's best interest here, Stuart.
Nope.
It's all it is these politicians who are afraid to lose votes are telling Israel how to run its own country. Imagine, if you will, Canada telling the United States what to do. Doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, listen, blackface Trudeau is true to form. And it was actually just reminded on the news. Listen, the reality is, David, they're just bigots. A bigot's a bigot's a bigot. A racist's a racist. An anti-Semite's an anti. You know what? Listen to me. No, sorry, David. The hatred towards the Jews has existed for 5,700 years. You know what? The hatred for Black Americans has been a couple hundred years. Do you want to know something? It doesn't matter. Hatred is hatred. Vile is vile.
You want to know what's something sick, Stuart, of what you just said?
Yeah.
Right? How the left, how these same politicians, how the same media had the audacity to tell us all how to act, how to be with the Black community, how to be with LGBTQ, how to be with, but one of the oldest religions cannot be ever respected. That is vile. It's just respect. And I think that the word I heard on Saturday morning was, you don't have to like me. You don't have to be my friend. You just have to respect me to live.
On that note, David, I'm wrapping it on your birthday broadcast.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rat Network today, guys. We trust you got some valuable insight in today's dialogue. Catch us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. Engage us on social media or share perspectives. We generally value your feedback. Catch us on our website, your verticals, which is whatever podcast station you're on, we're on. We know you like us because you download us, and we look at these numbers, and we love you for it. Guys, we do this for free. Literally. We spend money to do this, to get a message across. We're free, fair, and we love you. David, time to wrap this broadcast up.
Wishing everybody